We live in a time where people have very short attention spans, and people tend to fear boredom more than your traditional fears such as the dark, such as spiders and so forth and so forth. So how do you keep somebody engaged when you have that opportunity to connect? This video will help you keep people engaged in your message and also help you to identify when people are starting to lose interest in whatever you got to say. Cue music. Hi everybody, it's Dr. Simon DJ for another video for NobodyMotivation.com, where we aim to hit you up with videos on a weekly basis designed to educate, motivate and inspire you to achieve your biggest, brightest, boldest goals. According to Sam Horn in a book titled Got Your Attention, goldfish have longer attention spans than human beings. So it's no wonder when we find ourselves having crunch conversations, we are constantly second guessing ourselves. We are constantly worried whether or not is that other person actually listening to what I'm saying. The golden rule in keeping somebody engaged in conversation with you is recognizing that it's all about them. People generally are not interested in anyone that's not genuinely interested in them. So you have to make the conversation somehow focused on their own needs, their own challenges or their own problems. And you do that first and foremost by paying heightened attention to their words. That means you've got to learn to be still, learn to be calm, learn to be silent, and only talk if you're paraphrasing, if you're actually going to be repeating back to them something that they've told you. So you're like checking. And this way the other person recognizes that you're actually listening to them. Remember, people are only interested in people that are interested in them. And if you can start name dropping them in the conversation, that is another one that actually pricks their ear and gets their attention. When people know you're talking directly to them, they have a vested interest in listening to what you have to say. Your mindset in any conversation of value should be, how can I serve the other person? How can I identify what their problems are, their challenges or their needs? And the way to do that is by being still, allowing yourself the time to actually listen to the words that they're using such techniques as Socratic questioning, which was born out of the Greek philosopher Socrates, who was renowned for never arguing with anybody. What he would do instead is ask specific questions that will lead the other person on a journey of self-discovery. So if you ever find yourself arguing when you're having a key conversation with somebody, you need to regain control by avoiding the argument. The only argument you will ever win is the argument you avoid. Evoke Socrates' questioning technique. There are loads of books on it. It's all about taking the other person on a journey with you where they discover for themselves a new way of thinking. But again, this is a sideshow. Your mindset should be thinking about what is the win-win situation here. How can we both walk away from this conversation and both benefit? Your mindset should not be, how can I win over this person by proving that I'm more smarter than the other person. All what you have done is literally put yourself on a career cul-de-sac. All what you have done is put yourself on a pedestal and put the other person in the pit. And remember, you want to keep the person engaged in you. So this is a dynamic situation. It's constantly changing, it's constantly in flux, it's ebbing and it's flowing. But you need to be looking out for opportunities whereby you can spin your story. You're looking out for an opportunity whereby you can tell them something about you in order for them to build a sense of trust. If you remember my last couple of videos when I talked about the 4 happy chemicals, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, dopamine, you need to be thinking about these chemicals when it comes to you telling your story, because stories evoke all of these chemicals, and depending on what the other person's challenge, problems or needs are, you can identify a story that can raise those feelings within that person, because each of those chemicals releases a particular feeling. For example, how do they get to know who you are? You got to develop a trusting relationship. So whatever story that you are going to be telling, you've got to make sure it is personalized. No point in giving people examples about other great leaders or other situations. It should be aligned to you. It's your story. That way, the other person can connect with directly your experience. And once they connect with that, they will trust you. And oxytocin is that chemical that is released when somebody feels trusted. It's about belonging to a group. If you want to make a deeper connection with people, you have to be prepared to share something about yourself with them. And for me, the more personal you get, the closer the connection. So you have to be mindful in terms of what stories that you want to tell. But I'm very keen to let you know a bit of my background so you can kind of like see the way and why I think the way I do. I arrived in the UK with my family in 1977 as refugees, fleeing Rhodesia at the time, now known as Zimbabwe. And arriving in the UK with my sisters in such a state, literally going through the schooling system, being announced as a refugee, all the teasing, all the bullying that goes and is associated with that, really makes you think in a different way. Like I said to you, whatever your background, whatever you've gone through, can be used as rocket fuel to drive you forward, or it could be used as literally a weight around your ankle to hold you back. I chose at a very early stage that yes, I'm a refugee, I'll always be a refugee, I think like a refugee, I breathe like a refugee. But it's just experiences. It's what I do with the time that I have here that's important. So I don't take anything for granted in life. I'm here to support and encourage people to help them achieve their goals in life. That's my ultimate game in life. So please, hopefully it's me sharing just a little touch, just a little glimpse of what it was like for me growing up, allows you to make a deeper, closer connection to me. So as you're going to watch this video, you shall be blessed with other images of other celebrities that are refugees, and then hopefully you can also make a closer connection with them also. All relationships are built around trust. So once you have established trust with the person that you're talking to, you then need to move into try to evoke more levels of dopamine through that person. And that is when you start telling them a story, a situation whereby you had to overcome an obstacle. This way, the person has to focus on not only your storytelling before it gets to the cliffhanger moment in terms of how did you overcome that intense situation. But in doing so, their concentration levels are increased as well. So they're actually paying more attention to, guess what? You. And a good technique about doing that is when you get to the cliffhanger moment, you pull back. Chances are they'll want to know what happened next. What you try and do in this conversation is lower the other person's guard. You're trying to create a situation whereby you develop a trusting relationship with the person other person's focused, and is left even more at ease. Don't always have to tell stories that are serious. So creating a scenario where people generally laugh loosens their muscles, allows them to relax, and eases stress. Because sometimes these conversations that we're going to be having are highly stressful situations. You want the situation to be fluid and relaxed and evenly paced. You don't want somebody tense in the conversation with you. The danger signs are when you tell a story that spikes somebody's cortisol levels or adrenaline levels. These are normally scary stories. Do not tell stories that are scary. In any conversation, somebody of influence or any interview situation, do not tell scary stories. You must have stories for all these scenarios in order for you to ensure the other person remains not only connected, but engaged with your message. All of this means nothing if we don't apply and share. Each one, teach one. This has been Douglas Hamadisha for NobodyMotivation.com. I'm out. Download your free 140 Rule ebook from the 140rule.com website. The links are below.